The association method is a phonetic, systematic, structured, incremental, and cumulative multisensory approach for teaching language and speech to children with multiple difficulties in learning language. It has many distinctive features. There is no program to buy or sell. It uses Northampton symbols. It always uses cursive script. It always uses color differentiation. It starts with phonemes in isolation. It modifies temporal rate. Precise articulation is required from the beginning. Each child has their own child book. This child book serves as an indicator of the child's progress and is used as a reinforcement. When a child completes a stage and has mastered a stage, you add a page to their book. Phonetic rules are not taught until later in the program.
Okay. There are 3 units of language in the association method. I'm going to talk about the first unit, which consists of phonemes, drop drills, and cross drills. Phonemes are the first level of instruction. The purpose of this level is to teach the child to accurately articulate and write in cursive each individual phoneme. Only primary spellings of phonemes are used in the Northampton symbols at this point, and the role of color is simply to add interest to the child's pages. The reinforcement activities at this level include reading of the child's book, phoneme review on the board, oral recall, writing the phonemes, and writing the phonemes from dictation. An example in the child's book of the phonemes is this, and they would say p, 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 and then they would go through each phoneme that they have already learned and practice it daily. The next level of instruction are drop drills. McGinnis called these drop drills because the format in the child's book drop from top to bottom, left to right, and also because they are dropped from instruction after the next state of instruction, cross drills, has begun. The drop drills consist of consonant-vowel and vowel-consonant combinations. 2 colors are used to distinguish between the phonemes at this point in instruction. The purpose of the drop drills are to teach the child that phonemes can be organized into larger units and to build a good foundation for teaching noun vocabulary words. The drop drills are paired with a picture of an object in the child's book so that the sounds in the drop drill can be associated with an actual object. The same reinforcement activities used at the phoneme level are also used with drop drills. And an example of a drop drill is oos, oos, oo, and they see a picture of soup. The next level is cross drills, and the primary purpose of cross drills is to teach new noun vocabulary words and to introduce the secondary spellings from the Northampton symbols. Here's an example of a cross drill. This is a cross drill for the word car. We see that K is the Northampton symbol for the K sound in the primary spelling, so it's always in the first row. And so you have K, ark, R, and you'll have the target word will also always be in the first or second row of the cross drill. And the consonant will stay the same, but the vowel will change in each row. But at the end, they see a picture of a car. Okay, and that makes up the first unit.
Tell me when I'm ready.
You ready?
The next section is repetitive sentences, and in this stage, the teacher writes a sentence on the board, and it'll be multiple sentences, and they're all using the phrase, in this case, in this example, it is ICA, and they'll write ICA and then have a picture of what they see. So the teacher writes these sentences on the board, and to demonstrate the procedure, he or she reads the sentence, associates it with a noun, which is the picture, and clarifies the meaning of the linguistic content related to the new concepts in the sentence. The teacher turns around and tries to say the sentence from memory. She may fail, and just so that she can show the children what to do if you fail. If so, she reads it again and says it from memory. So each time that they read these, they have to say it from memory also. Each child has to turn to read the sentence, or has a turn to read the sentence, associate language with the picture, turn around and try to say the sentence from memory, and then sit back down. So each child will do this, and then once they're finished doing all of these and they have memorized them all, they will go to the question level, and it'll be, what do you see? And they will say, I see a key, I see a leaf, I see a cup, or whatever it is. Then the next level is, it's the same thing, you just add how many. And so you have, these are your sentences, and the teacher writes them on the board, and it's the same process as the one before. And they have to say all these. In order to master them, they have to say them from memory after reading them from the board, and they each get a turn to do it. And once they've mastered them, they add their sentences, and they're all how many sentences. How many boats is this? How many cars did you see? How many dogs does John have? And they don't use, this is an example, they don't use capital letters until they're taught later. So John as a proper name would be lowercase. The next section is whole word vocabulary, and this is just where they learn their whole words, and once they learn a whole word, they put it into their book with a picture of the word, and the word is written in cursive and with color differentiation with a picture on top of it.
Alrighty. Okay. The next level are animal stories and questions. The primary purposes of animal stories and questions are to expand vocabulary and memory and to teach new concepts and adjectives. The questions for the story are learned after the story has been mastered. So for example, this is a horse story, and first they will learn this is a horse has 2 ears, a horse has 2 eyes, and so on, and then they would learn the corresponding questions. What is this? This is a horse. How many ears does a horse have? A horse has 2 ears. And the next level is inanimate stories and questions, and the primary purpose are to introduce the pronoun it and to prepare the child to learn how to tell time and days of the week. So you always start off the inanimate stories with a clock story. So this is an example of a clock story. So they will learn first, this is a clock, it has a face, it has a long hand, and then the corresponding questions, what is this? This is a clock, and so on. And the next level are personal stories and questions, and the primary purpose is to introduce the pronouns he, she, and the possessive adjectives my, his, and her. This level also teaches the children which language to use to talk about themselves and to talk about others. This level introduces color names and continues to work on increasing memory for sequences and question language. And so here's an example of a personal story. It would be in the child's book. They would learn, this is Jill, she is a woman, she has green eyes, she has brown hair. And then the corresponding questions, who is this? This is Jill, what is she? She is a woman, and so forth. And the next level are preposition sentences and questions, and the primary purpose of this level is to teach the concepts and appropriate language replacements of in, on, and under. And after those have been mastered, others such as around, by, beside, above, and below are learned. These are generally taught in the form of where are the blank questions, or where is the blank questions. And unusual pictures work best. So for example, if you find a picture of a cow standing on the roof of a house, that would be a good picture to use, and you would say, where is the cow? And the answer would be the cow is on the roof, or the cow is on the house, and that would really stick with the child that on means on, the cow is on the roof, because it's unusual. Okay.
Next, we have preposition roundup stories and questions and descriptive stories and questions. Preposition roundup stories look like this, and they've always got a picture up at the top, and the story is presented one line at a time. The sentences are written one under the other. Children take turns reading the sentences, indicating the association by identifying the proper portion of the picture, turning their backs to the board, and repeating it from memory. So it's just like all the other steps. And in this one, you add the words are in, is between, are on, are by. So it's like places in a room or something. For this example, Mother Sue and Amy are in the kitchen. Sue is between Mother and Amy. The cake pans are on the cabinet, and so on and so on. Once they have mastered all of these, they will add questions. And here are the questions. Where are Mother Sue and Amy? Or who is in the kitchen? Where is Sue? Or who is between Mother and Amy? Where are two cake pans? Or what is on the cabinet? So those are just different examples of questions that you can ask for preposition roundup stories. And then you have descriptive stories, and basically these are just describing something. And this one, they're describing a room. This is a sofa, or this is a living room. The sofa is white. It is between the chairs. So it has preposition roundup, and it has the descriptive aspects of the room. And once they have mastered these, you go to your questions, and here are your questions. And it just asks you, what kind of room is this? What color is the sofa? Where is it? And so on and so on. Present progressive sentences and questions are then added, and this looks like this. The dog and cat are sleeping. So you're just adding that present progressive tense to your sentences. And then once they've mastered that, they go to their question. And the question on this one is, what are the dog and cat doing? So this is them trying to understand the present progressive tense. And once they get the sentences of the present progressive tense, they can go to the stories. And then they'll do the exact same thing, just in story form. So they'll look at the picture, and they'll take it one sentence at a time to tell the story, and then they have to learn it from memory. And then once they've learned them all from memory, they go to the questions. So they're learning all the different types of grammar, but they're doing it in sentence form, and they're doing it from memory. So they're learning language and they're learning grammar at the same time.
All right. The next level are past tense sentences and questions, and the purpose is to introduce the concept of past tense verbs. So like the first question would be, what did blank do? And they would be set up just like all the other stories or the sentences and questions that we've looked at. The next level goes to the past tense stories and questions, and it's a series of past tense questions and answers to create a story. It could be based on one picture or a series of pictures. And the purpose of both of those levels are obviously to teach past tense structure. And the final level are imagination stories, which are basically creative writing. And the purpose of imagination stories are for the children to expand their use of spontaneous language from simple into more complex and imaginative forms. It's basically a culmination of everything they've learned in all the other levels and put into real storytelling use. Okay, your turn.
Well, Stephanie wrapped up the procedure part of the association method. The people who are treated by the association method are various, and anything from completely mild to completely extreme. They treat clients that have profound hearing losses or profound hearing impairments, severe aphasia, articulation disorders, language disorders, apraxia, language learning disabilities like dyslexia, attention deficit disorders that can be hyperactive or non-hyperactive, mental retardation, it can be mild or it can be severe, English as a second language, and that was new to me because I didn't know that the association method taught ESL, stroke and head traumas, and a combination of all of the above.
Okay. And that's I'm going to wrap up with just the strengths and weaknesses of the association method. Some of the strengths include repetition, reinforcement of what has already been learned. Every level builds off of another level. It doesn't overload the children, and they work at their own pace to achieve mastery. Some of the weaknesses of the association method are that it's time-consuming, it's lengthy, and it's not theory-based. Thank you.